Welcome to another episode, and you know what time it is. We are going to do the install on the Pure500 on the 640 today. Super excited for this day. We've been waiting for it for a long time. I finally got the machined inlet back from Machine Shop, and we got the T51 Armada on there. Not sure if it's going to work or not, but we're going to see. But yeah, we're definitely going to get this project started today. I anticipate it taking me half the day today, just because I'm gonna take a break and have a few other things I gotta do. But I'm going to probably do this differently than you guys are expecting I'm gonna do it, because when Pure sends you the Pure500, obviously it just comes with the compressor and the CHRA side. So many people are expecting me just to unbolt that from the hot side and do the replacement there. But in order to do that, you have to remove the water pump, you have to drop the steering or remove the steering rack, and you have to remove the sway bar. I don't want to do any of that, and because of my experience with the Pure Stage 2, the Pure 750, and installing multiple of these turbos, I'm just going to put an engine brace over the top of the motor, tilt the motor, drop the downpipe, and drop the turbo out that way. It's really fast and efficient for me, especially with my large hands. Working in that small area is really difficult, as well as, dealing with, a lot of people don't realize, but a lot of these engine components are sharp. The plastic pieces are sharp. The engine is very sharp, the aluminum, and you tend to cut up your hands really bad. And obviously working in Texas in the humidity, using gloves isn't the greatest option because they just get soaking wet. They don't feel great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and tilt this motor with the engine brace, and we're gonna drop the turbo out from the bottom side, and then just show you guys everything on the outside of the car and how we made the turbo and the comparisons and all that stuff. And then later on in the episode, we'll show you guys some draggy numbers and videos and kind of go over how I feel the performance of the car is going so far with just OTS tunes, because later in the future, we got Kerry on board, and he's a Jordan tuned, and he's gonna go ahead and help us get custom tuned for this. So yeah, we're ready to get this thing going. So here we go. All right, so we got the car on jack stands, and one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this wheel off to give myself plenty of room to roll underneath the car, so easy access. I'm gonna get my intake off. I already took the strut bar off here. I'm probably gonna take this one off as well. And then I'm gonna disconnect my charge pipe and then remove my intake system. And I've disconnected both of my O2 sensors so that when we drop the downpipe first, that'll come out smoothly. And that way, when I go ahead and put my engine mount on the sides here, we'll probably remove these plastic panels so that we don't damage them when we put the engine support brace on. And then we'll go ahead and start tilting the motor. And then once we'll loosen the motor mount, we'll get this tilted, and then we'll drop the downpipe, we'll drop the turbo out, and that should go pretty smoothly. So we're gonna start with removing the charge pipe, removing the intake system, and obviously getting the car on jack stands and getting this wheel off for ease of access. All right, so we got the downpipe out. We can see the turbo here. So what you're gonna wanna do is there's a motor mount bolt right here. We're gonna loosen this and take this all the way out so that way we're able to articulate the motor with the engine stand. Then we're gonna go ahead and take this coolant pipe off, let all the coolant drain out, and then that way we can easily access sliding the turbo out this way. But once you obviously articulate the motor to the passenger side, this turbo will slide right out of this hole. Very simple. So we're only maybe 15 minutes into this, so yeah, just gonna keep going. All right, so here's something that you're gonna need to get. You can get it from Harbor Freight for 80 bucks, and it is a support bar so that you can tilt the motor and give yourself more access for sliding out the turbo. So we got this on. It's not fully tightened up yet, but we're gonna go ahead and start loosening the bolts to the turbo and disconnecting the oil line that goes to the block, the return, and then also the feed line. And then we've already got the coolant drain, so we'll continue working on this. Okay, so as you can see here, we've removed the passenger side motor mount as well as the turbo mount. This is the bottom side of the turbo. It is 2 bolts that go into the block and 1 into the bottom side of the turbo.
I removed, obviously you have to remove the turbo mount in order to get the turbo out, but I also removed the motor mount because it just makes it easier to slide this out. It also kind of gives you a reference. If you're able to get that motor mount out, you do have the motor articulated enough for the turbo to slide out without any issues. So I kind of just use that as a reference, but yeah, I went ahead and removed both of these, and we'll keep going forward.
All right, I went ahead and dropped the sway bar and the steering rack just to get a little bit more ease of access for up in here. I can get the oil drain for the turbo, which is right here. So it's just this Torx bit. And then also to take the hose clamp off the water pump here. The manufacturer made it really difficult to access it, and it's right here. So we're gonna go ahead and, actually no, it's this one up here. Up there, you can't really see it, but it's this one my finger's on. So we're gonna go ahead, get that off, and then so we can get the aluminum tube all the way out, the coolant tube out, and then we'll take this oil drain out, and then we'll start working on getting the bolts off the header. All right, so here's a header bolt or header nut, and there's multiple ways you can remove these. One is obviously with an 11mm socket, and I have multiple ones of that. Or the other option is a T50. A T50 will actually, let me go ahead and show you. T50 goes right on top like that, and then that's how you're able to access it. So some spots you'll need to use a T50, it's easier, some 11mm, and then other spots an 11mm wrench. So yeah, that's just some information I have that I've been able to make things a little bit easier on myself. All right, so now that you got the turbo loose, everything should come out nice and smoothly. So we'll just go ahead and drop this out like this, and nice and easy. Might have to put your hand on a couple of the fittings and oil lines. Now at this point, what I'm gonna do is reposition myself like this so I can see my clearance here with the lines. It all drops out, and you go ahead and just set it on down, and that's it. Turbo's out. So there is the factory turbo unit. There she is. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece off, and this is obviously the clamp for the mid unit, and then we'll take off each line. We'll put it on the Pure500. We'll take the wastegate actuator, and we'll go ahead and bolt it on there. We're gonna have to calibrate this no matter what. I'm leaving the diverter valve on. Obviously, as you can see, we have the in-house performance diverter block-off valve because I am running a blow-off valve. And yeah, that should be about it. So go ahead and get this done. All right, so once you got all the lines out and cleaned off, we're gonna put new O-rings on every single line. So we have coolant O-rings, we have the oil line O-rings, and we have the oil line gaskets. So that's what we're gonna do now. And then, yeah, once we're done with this, we'll get it all bolted up to the Pure unit, and we'll go from there. Well, I'm bummed the video that I shot with my glasses for some reason didn't show me mating the Pure500 to the stock manifold. So I just wanted to show you guys here real quick. This is an after video. So here on this, you will have, so on the manifold side, there's gonna be a pin. And this pin is where you locate where the cold side of the CHRA goes into the hot side. So make sure when you are adding the Pure500 to the cold side to the hot side, you'll find this locating hole, and it will go into the manifold that has a pin on the other housing side. So make sure when you do that, you put that locating pin in the correct location. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. Unfortunately, my video for my glasses did not catch it. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys a quick side-by-side comparison. Here is my stock turbine housing and CHRA with the compressor wheel. And then here is the Pure500 compressor wheel.
So obviously you can see this inducer is much larger than the factory one, and the inlet area is also much larger. So this is a great looking unit, and you can see the differences here. So I just kind of wanted to do a side-by-side comparison real quick before we get this all bolted up. Now I also just wanted to show you guys real quick, this was my attempt at the T51R mod for the inlet. So we'll see if this works.
All right, so next what we need to do is you're gonna take all the gaskets out of here. Put them right here. So these are actually wedged in there, so you need to get them out with a screwdriver. So use just to pry them out. So you just get behind them a little bit right here, and then just use the flange to pry them out. Now the next thing you need to do is you need to make sure this area is really clean for the new gasket. So what I'm doing is you take the screwdriver and you push it up against the flange, and then you just go ahead and scrape these edges out. And you do that to each one, and you'll see some debris come out. I got most of it already. I'm just kind of showing you guys what you need to do in order to get all of this clean for the next set of gaskets. So we're pushing and we're getting into the groove here, and we're getting all the debris out. So once we get that all out, we are good to go. Notice some melting of the harness. That is not good. Let's go ahead and make sure that stays up. It is melting on the header. That is not good. Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to show you guys real quick how to install the exhaust gaskets onto the manifold. There's one of two ways you can do it, and this way I feel like is the easiest. The other one would be placing these gaskets into the cylinder head, but there's a risk of smashing or damaging the gaskets that way while trying to put the turbo header onto the head, and this could cause issues, and it can just turn into a mess that you don't want to deal with. So here I'm pressing on each one, and the main goal here is you just want to make sure that when you go to put the turbo manifold up to the head, that you put it on nice and evenly, and that it is aligned using obviously the alignment holes, and you don't put it in awkwardly or one way or the other. You got to make sure it's not cockeyed in there, and then that way it'll go into the cylinder head flush, and these gaskets will set in there nicely and create a good seal. So yep. All right, so we got the turbo mounted to the head and back in the car. Sorry I wasn't able to get you footage of me installing it. I had issues with my glasses. So it's all back in. We got the coolant line on. We got the coolant lines going back to the block, and the oil feed lines and return lines bolted up. So now I'm going to finish installing everything else and perform the oil prime procedure, which is the same one you would do for an oil filter housing gasket, just because you want to get oil to the turbo before you start the motor up. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we are home free, and we'll get this thing lowered down and on the road. All right, so we've just flashed over to the 2H. We're going to go ahead and we've already primed the motor. Everything's ready to go. So all we need to do now is start the motor, and we'll be good to go. So let's see how it sounds. So everything's gonna be running good. So next we'll check for leaks and make sure everything is leak free, and we will go ahead and take this thing for a test drive. All right, so we're gonna go take it for another test drive. I did a test drive to make sure there were no leaks,
coolant or oil leaks, exhaust leaks, make sure everything sounded well, put it through a couple heat cycles, and then let it sit and cool down all the way. So now we're gonna go beat on it a little bit and see what I think. Now I flashed the 2H. Let's see. Got some pretty good pickup. And this is obviously a super mild tune. The 2H tune on BM3 doesn't require a high pressure fuel pump, which is interesting to me. But once I did a couple logs and I saw that it was just 17 PSI target, that explains that. So yeah, car's running really good, happy with it. So now we'll probably start the tuning phase with Carrie. That's the plan going forward, but really happy with how this is turning out. I'm gonna do some 0 to 60s and some, let's see, 0 to 60s and quarter-mile runs with it, with the 2H, and see what this thing is capable of doing. And I'm not thinking it's gonna be much better than the Stage 2 Plus. I think it's gonna be right around the same, and so, or probably a little less aggressive, since the 2H doesn't require a high pressure fuel pump. I did notice though on the Stage 2 Plus on the E30, I started getting some high pressure fuel pump pressure drop-offs. So we're right on that edge of where it's capable of holding on and not holding on. So only thing is with the this thing's fun. I love this thing. So honestly, what I think I'm gonna do is, I have the 2H on the E30 tune right now, and then I'll probably start on the 93 tune with Carrie and see how much we can crank out of this thing with the stock high pressure fuel pump. And then from there, we will probably have to put on one of the Dorsch high pressure fuel pumps and see what it's capable of doing and go from there. So, but I want to try to do as much as I can with the stock high pressure fuel pump first, and then we will take it from there. So this thing's driving pretty good. I'm happy with it. No leaks, no issues, no boost leaks, hitting target nicely. So yeah, this was a really quick and easy install. I think I got it done after, doing the install. I took a little break, had to go pick up parts. I think all in all, it took me 5 hours, maybe 6. But that was because I had a couple moments in between where I stopped or I did other things, and so I wasn't on it the whole time. So yeah, pretty quick and easy, happy with it. So now let's show you guys some 0 to 60s and some quarter-mile stuff. I'm probably gonna wait until it cools down though, because it is 97 degrees here with high humidity. So this thing's probably gonna run like a dog. So we'll wait till tonight and get some runs in for you, and we'll put them in here. So yep, pretty happy with it.
30, 60. Quarter mile.
All right, so we're back in the garage after doing a couple of hits tonight, and I have to say I'm very, very impressed. I went ahead and was running it at first on the 2H flash from BM3, which is their hybrid, and it was only making about 17 PSI and definitely felt a little bit slower than the stock 2 Plus E30 tune, like maybe a few tenths off from, the 60s and the quarter-mile stuff. But I went ahead and flashed the 2 Plus E30 tune with the Pure500 on it, and this thing is a ripper. She actually put down my fastest 0 to 60, which was a 4.29, and then we did our fastest quarter mile, which I think was a 12.4. So yeah, this thing is really alive now with the 2 Plus E30 tune. Now, there was some moments where I had some breakups, and that is obviously because the high pressure fuel pump can't keep up. But we're gonna go ahead and leave it on there and run it as is. You know, with the E30, we're probably at our limit. So we're gonna see what the 93 can do. And then when I go up to the E30, we'll go ahead and put the Dorsch 1.5 on there and see how much more we can get out of this turbo. Because I'm gonna go through the tuning process with Kerry, and I know he can only make it faster. So there's rumors that some guys made right at 500 horsepower with a strong E-mix and a strong tune. So I have no doubt in my mind that Kerry can't reach those numbers if they're factual. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and see. But I'm very impressed right now with what this car's doing with a Pure 500 and an OTS tune. So very, very happy with the performance mods right now and the performance aspects of this car, especially with how heavy she is. With me in the car, I haven't done anything to lighten this car up at all. It's all still full interior, full everything. If not, I've only added weight with the big tires and the big brake kit and, you know, these kind of things. So yeah, definitely impressed with how this car's running right now. So all right, well, that about does it for this episode. Really happy with how the car's performing, and now we're going to move forward with the custom tuning process with Kerry Jordan. Drop it down to 93 and see what this thing does on 93. We obviously already know we're at the limits of the E30 on the current OTS tune, so I don't think we'll get very much out of that. But yeah, really excited to keep going on this journey with you guys. Hit like, hit subscribe. Check us out at inhouseperformance.com. We're your favorite Pure, Dorsch, and variant dealer. I also sell custom front mount intakes for the 5 Series, and we got diverter Bach-off plates and a few other parts on there. So definitely check us out there. And yeah, we're just excited to keep going with this. Hopefully we can get you guys some numbers soon, and we'll see what this Pure 500 can really do. So until the next episode, you guys take it easy, stay safe out there, and we will see you guys on the next one.